Welcome, Non-Pro listening audience, to another Geektoberfest episode. This is going to be a quick one, hopefully. We're going to talk about our favorite Halloween traditions. We'd like to say, make a comeback. That's right. And who's we, you ask? Oh, no one's asked that? Literally no one cares? All right, then, let's just start talking. You know, Halloween has been around for a while.
Really?
No, you don't say.
What's that?
All right.
Wow. Is that your lame segue into the haunted history?
Here's the history of Halloween. Basically, once upon a time, people used to believe in this crap, right? Pagans.
By the way, you there at home should be imagining the Monster Mash playing underneath.
Oh yeah, because we cannot afford the rights to that song, so we're not going to bet it.
Nope.
No.
So the origins of Halloween, it started off as a traditional festival to celebrate the harvest, right?
Yes,
the end of October,
basically.
Beginning of November. November 1st was Celtic New Year.
Yep.
And that is the ancient origins of Halloween. It's been modified even in the old world. I mean, Romans kind of try to make it more in sync with their festive
had their
holidays.
Own things.
Eventually,
Romans, the Catholics have
came
added
in,
their
and
own
as
little
far as I'm
spins.
concerned, Catholics are Roman or something like that. They're basically all Italians, is what we're
okay.
saying. Italians and Irish people ruined
the
Halloween.
world? Italian.
And also made Halloween. And the idea of Halloween that we kind of know now in modern America maybe got its start in the mid-19th century, really.
Yeah, we're looking actually about 100 years of Halloween as we would recognize it today.
Right. And even the
early
Halloween,
1900s.
And the Halloween we recognize today is a lot different than it was even 10, 20 years ago.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is going to be a little nostalgia trip for us. We're each going to take a turn describing one Halloween tradition we really want to see get revitalized and brought back in the aughts. No, the aughts was the last decade. What decade is this? The teens?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, sounds
I don't
about
think
right.
so, because what was 2012? That's a 12. 12 isn't a teen. If you know, leave a comment on this podcast.
And or ridicule it.
Yeah.
It's funny you're bringing up the history and everything and like all that other stuff about how the amalgamation of like all of these different cultures kind of like eventually spat out this holiday.
It is the melting pot of holidays is what I just coined it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
no.
I kind
It's
of
not,
am
though.
looking back on when it was like the All Saints Day or the All Hallows Eve and whatnot. And back in that time, people would make like these sweet treats, like these sort of like almost cinnamon bun-esque kind of
Soul
stuff.
cakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Soul cakes.
All right.
And they would and young adults or homeless people would come around and they would trade prayers, like praying for the family to get food from them, get these sweet treats. And like that would just be something that they would did, and then everyone would just go around and
You know what I find really interesting about that? And to get a little political for a moment. So it started off with people making like desserts for the ghosts, right? You feed the ghosts so that they would leave you alone or whatever. Like these supernatural things that had or even for the dead, right? You made these pastries, you put them on your doorstep, it rotted, it was a waste. Good on the church for trying to convert that up and saying, hey, let's make soul cakes and feed people to pray for your ancestors. I think that's pretty progressive of the church.
No, I totally agree.
I'm going to give 1 point to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
Do not throw your food away. Pray it away.
Yeah. And I'm going to say I think we should bring that back. I think that we
That's
should
cool.
I think we should allow people like young adults and adults to go trick-or-treating again.
What?
Okay. I get it. I see what's happening
I
here.
want to go out and get free candy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I feel like this needs to come back, and we need to allow adults to get dressed up in costumes and knock on people's doors.
Well, you made that sound fantastic.
It's like
Yeah.
$5 for a bag of candy, dude.
you can
Yeah.
just buy candy.
Seriously.
Why would you?
It's not the same.
Why not just
It
go out
is
on November
literally
1st?
the same.
No, it's
No.
not.
You can go on November 1st and get all of the candy you want for half
But
price.
it's
That
not
is
the same.
adult trick-or-treating, is going out to like Target and whatever and buying all the Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
at
but you
cheap,
know
cheap
what? Thanks to Halloween City and Spirit Halloween and other Halloween chains, that's evaporating.
It is.
They're just
quickly going
holding
away.
on to their Halloween stash until next year.
It's hard for you to buy like makeup and costumes and stuff cheap, although if you go to the big box stores you probably can. But yeah, you can get great deals on Monster cereal. If you just hang out at Target late enough, 25 cents a box of cereal, eating it well into the new year. Yeah, good. So that was almost a wonderful thing to say, Al, although you spoiled it at the end. Let's talk about the two things you brought up. One is the soul cakes and the whole religious aspect to Halloween. I I would say like I like the idea of like a Day of the Dead kind of,
Yeah.
looking back at the people who've become deceased recently. I think there
Died?
could be
Became that way,
That's
yeah.
the way you refer to it. There could be a cool way of doing this where it's just on the edge of gothic weirdness, but still kind of reverent. I like that idea. As for your separate idea completely of adults trick-or-treating, there's nothing to stop you. You can do that.
Besides social stigma.
So
He's being oppressed.
you are. It is, it's thanks, Obama. All right. Well, I guess that's something. Anybody else have something ridiculous that they'd like to bring up?
I could talk about something even more ridiculous than that somehow. When I was looking up ideas of old concepts and stuff to do for Halloween, because I didn't do a whole lot for Halloween as a kid that I don't do now, I found a game that people used to play back in the 1940s.
That's what I'm talking about. Games. All right.
Yeah.
So traditional games. What traditional game you want to bring back?
Like Monopoly?
There was a lot of those old, like, traditional kind of young adult games trying to figure out who you're going to marry. But I think I found the best one, which is basically you get a pie tin, right? You get a pie tin. You follow me. You get a bunch of flour. And then you get a bunch of like little strips of paper, and you
And
write
make a
down.
pie.
No, I'm not there yet.
okay,
We
sorry.
will make a pie.
Ooh.
Oh, cool. All right.
Sort of.
I'm in now.
You're gonna write down on these pieces of paper. You're gonna write down some really interesting kind of charms, or in other games I read they would just include a name in there, and basically. You pack the pie tin filled with flour, just flour, and these little paper charms, and you get it real tight, and then you flip it over onto a table, and everybody has to cut out a slice. You pick your slice, and then, I'm not kidding, you have to fish out the piece of paper with your teeth.
All right. So
And
you're just
that's the
wolfing
game.
down a
Flour.
A flower. This sounds like a YouTube video.
Like, I just
This
want to
sounds like
imagine.
some like Victorian ass.
I could just imagine a bunch of 20-year-olds in 1930 covered with flour in their best finery. Just
Choking,
Like-
dying.
YouTube should be here for this.
All right. And what would happen if you win? Like, what do you win?
No, everybody wins because you find the charms. There's like a
I
bunch
would
of them
totally
in
not
there.
find
You
a
should
charm.
all just find a charm and pluck it out with your teeth, and that's it. That's the entire game.
And if it's
that's it.
And if it's a name, it's supposed to be the person you married. that
Yeah,
kind of deal.
supposedly.
Now,
So-
keep in mind, this is like your entire entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even turn around and say, screw this. I'm gonna go in the corner and read the book because you've already read the book.
If you could read the book at all.
Yes.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of early Halloween traditions do seem to involve looking for the name of your true love and then either baking it in a pie or slathering it with pie filling or tying it to an apple and then throwing it through someone's window. It's very tedious.
My favorite ones involve fire.
or
Same.
like melting wax.
Melting wax.
Yeah.
Walnuts
and just-
with candles in them.
Bonfires in general. Bonfires should come back.
So I have absolutely no interest in having this tradition come back. Is this going to be one of those podcasts where everything is ironic? Where we're like, oh, here's a bunch of things that
I want to say
suck.
I'm
We don't-
dead serious. I want to get some flour pie. I'll do it right now, right here,
You wanna
right
do
now.
the-
Let's
so,
do it. Let's
all
do
right.
flour garbage.
If you are listening to this podcast and you want to see us do a stupid YouTube video where we all do flour pie,
Oh God, let's do it.
just leave a
Flour.
comment and we will flour pie, and that better be the next thing that like local news catches up, like picks up on and says today's generation in flour pieing run amok.
Please tell us to do this.
Soak the flour with vodka first and then inhale it.
Or combine it with 80s trends and instead of flour, use cocaine.
Yeah, right.
Oh
That'll
well,
work.
yeah.
Good
well,
times.
Then we'll all
Suddenly
be,
we're all more interested.
Now
Yeah.
we
What?
all do get a prize.
What is flower pine and how is it hurting today's youth?
Yeah, that sounds like
Well,
a
with
local
cocaine,
news
most
be
likely.
real. Yeah. All right, good. Very
Tonight
good.
at 11.
All right. So I was hoping for something a little bit more genuinely nostalgic. Something
Absolutely
that
not.
would actually come from our, personal experiences.
Oh yeah, when I was a little kid, I used to take my little blue blanket and just kind of go hang out in the pumpkin patch on Halloween night and wait for the great pumpkin to come out. So I'd love to see that come back.
All right. Let's just dial this back.
Okay.
That was 100% the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. And I feel like this exercise was undermined from the very beginning by everyone.
You know what? I think I can save this because that reminds me of another thing, a tradition from our childhood that has seemingly evaporated over the most recent years. Do you remember when Halloween was like a big deal on TV?
Yes.
I remember that a lot.
I remember. I think a lot of you kids here at the table,
Thank you,
are thinking of like
this is the accurate level of old manism I wanted from this podcast.
Yeah.
Go man, go.
I'm going to get older. Don't mark my words.
doing it
Before
now.
the Family Channel was doing their 31 days of Halloween or whatever, 13. I don't care how they do it.
Right.
And it wasn't just relegated to one basic cable channel. It was everywhere. It was on all the broadcast networks, and you would have, ABC, actual ABC advertising, the Halloween specials, almost the same way they do Christmas now.
Yeah, and I feel like even Christmas is getting kind of dialed back.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I think this is all about the cable networking of America, where there are so many different options for you to watch that everything kind of just spread out. Same thing happened Saturday morning cartoons, in my opinion.
And they're gone now.
Yeah.
But no, everything, you're right, Pete. Everything used to have Halloween specials, right? All the Nickelodeon shows had Halloween specials, and around Halloween they'd show them. ABC used to do their movies, right? They used to do the Saturday night movie or whatever. Those would always be Halloween related, generally like Disney Halloween movies.
Disney's Halloween treat.
Yeah,
I remember that.
No, that would be that would be amazing. I feel like we're totally lacking in that kind of fun holiday television now. You know what I mean? It's just what do people do? Go outside and actually trick or treat?
And Frank, help me out with this one. Do you remember contests? Like TV contests?
Yes, I remember this.
They do it on Nickelodeon and usually the non network affiliate broadcast networks.
Can you give me an example?
I barely remember this. It's like Candle Cove.
Oh jeez.
But it's so I don't remember what you would win, but you would either have to call in or write in or go to your neighborhood McDonald's and get a slip of paper and mail it in.
I remember
or something.
these. I remember these, especially at Pizza Hut. When you would get these weird, I remember we talking about you would win these weird Halloween-esque prizes if you went over to Pizza Hut and the trick or treating stuff. There were contests, and at other places at McDonald's, like he's talking about.
I think that's also related to the cable television of America because you don't have local channels anymore, so
Exactly.
you don't have local promotions.
But I mean, also the thing about television, I'm remembering back in the day when there used to be tons of horror films on. That's not really a thing throughout the entire month anymore. I remember watching Turner Classic Movies and all these other like TNT and all these other networks where they would just play some of the old classic horror films and even the Hammer films some places, and that's where I would catch them and see them. And
see, I'm having a little bit of dissonance here because I know that I saw a lot of there. Not only is it the ABC Family, which is a new network now, I can't remember the name of it, but the 13 Days of Halloween and occasionally the 31 Days of Halloween or whatever. I know those exist, but I also know that they somehow feel less like they're significant.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that these movies are also played all year long as well. In some cases, there's a difference between a Halloween movie and a scary movie.
Yeah.
Right?
But
I think when scary movies are on all the time, Halloween movies seem to have less impact.
yeah,
Maybe.
but
I don't know.
but there were genuine horror films that weren't just Michael Myers, although that is taken on Halloween, but Dracula, Frankenstein, all that would show up.
Classic horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. I also want to see trick or treating come back, real trick or treating, at night. Without having parents hovering over the kids, and real consequences. You don't give good treats, you're going to get your house egged or TP'd or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, has anybody ever had the problem where your neighborhood reschedules trick-or-treating without actually telling anybody?
Well, I think all of New Jersey did after Hurricane Sandy.
Well, yeah.
But that was fair. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a hurricane.
Yeah, but not being told about it is a different thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's true.
No one really makes an effort to inform about that.
Yeah. Well, see, I spent my Halloweens down in South Jersey in Toms River, which has the second largest Halloween parade in the United States. And for years, the tradition has always been that you actually go trick-or-treating on the 30th so that everyone can go to the parade on the 31st.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's just like this unspoken community agreement. You know, it's not like it's officially, there's anybody that officially sanctions when trick-or-treating
So
happens.
where do you do your goosey night? I don't care if any of you know what that word means.
Goosey night?
Goosey
Yeah,
night.
mischief night, goosey night.
Oh, okay.
It's
Devil's
Goosey night. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I know. I use the proper
That's
English.
the correct term.
When do you guys do that? Also the same day you're trick-or-treating?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that makes you make sure you have candy out.
Basically, punk kids did it whenever.
Right. That was just called destroyed Shoretown. Is
Yeah.
what it's called. It's
Jeez.
just
Yeah.
broken windows philosophy.
But yeah, no, trick-or-treating, I'm sorry, like trunk-or-treating, where they get like
All these
cars
cars
in the
parked in
parking
it,
lot
yeah.
and you open up your trunks and distribute candy that way. That's just for the weak.
Or for people who live like in the country and there'd be miles between houses. But yeah, all right, for the week.
I was going to say, trick-or-treating nowadays can be tough. Like we don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters where I am, but like I'm the only apartment complex on a road. Like if you have children in that apartment complex, you're not going to have them trick-or-treat right around there. You're going to bring them to something like a trunk-or-treat or, a place where you know that the trick-or-treating is better.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think people aren't doing it. It's just where, we can tend to afford to live these days.
Every year I
No,
hear
no.
another report of like another sad thing coming out from trick-or-treating, including like kids having to go to like better neighborhoods to get better candy and then getting chased out of those, not literally chased out, but like kind of pressured out by the people in that neighborhood. I've overheard conversations from people in affluent neighborhoods saying, well, I mean, it's not fair because, this candy is for our kids, which is the meanest,
Yeah. That
is, like,
stupidest thing
I've seen that so
I
much.
was
It's so
sick
mean.
and
I mean,
wild.
that's total whining, but that's part of that is on the kids.
Wait, what? How?
Huh? No, it's the kid's job to figure out a way to sneak into that neighborhood and get the candy, surreptitiously without them knowing.
See, Pete's thinking of a kind of a Spartan way of looking at child rearing. At one point, you have to kill your first man and get away with it.
No,
and that's
case
how you
in
know.
point. Have you heard about the Teal Pumpkin Project?
No.
The Teal Pumpkin Project encourages families to put a teal-colored pumpkin on their front porch to let children with food allergies know that they have non-food treats available.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay?
That was going to be the thing I wanted to bring back. Non-food treats.
Yeah.
No.
I mean this unironically.
like razors in the apples. That would be good. Not food.
Oh.
Apples aren't food either.
P may have gone too far the other
No.
way.
No. See, here's the thing. For children with or without allergies, Halloween has always been, and in my mind should always be, about taking your life into your own hands.
All right. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, if you're not doing something that puts your life in direct and real jeopardy, or if you take any extraordinary precautions, you are not doing Halloween correctly.
That's an interesting viewpoint.
Yes, your maximum feeling of safety should be at a level no higher than I'll probably be fine, or what's the worst that could happen.
Wow.
Interesting.
So this entire podcast has been a big mistake.
So
but,
Pete,
yeah.
Pete will be in the attendance at the next Hunger Games, I see.
All right.
God. Well, here. So
Another Vietnam thin out there.
nope. No, we do not need that at all.
Okay.
I was, I think, one of my fondest Halloween memories. Why am I muscling through this? Was actually getting a non-food treat. I actually think kids with food allergies definitely it hurts. It doesn't hurt you to have other options for them. And my best memory was getting, I believe it was comic books from a person who was doing magic tricks at their door. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
I loved getting Chinese finger traps were
All right.
always the best.
What kind of
And-
lonely 40s?
I liked getting. I have to defend this here. I liked getting non-food treats. Right?
Love
We didn't
getting
like
tubes
keeping.
of toothpaste.
Well,
and
we didn't like keeping a lot of.
stacks of pennies wrapped up in tissues, so
My-
it looked like a ghost.
My father was.
Popcorn balls.
First off, you would wrap
That's
the.
food.
You would totally
That is
wrap
not
the.
food. If you have ever had a popcorn ball, you would know it's not food.
Also, you totally wrap the lollipops in to make them look like ghosts. But no, we didn't want to keep a lot of candy around because my father was a type 1 diabetic, and it was cool to be able to share some of that stuff. And
the
I'll be
rubber
honest,
fangs, the little
Yeah.
spider things that were terrible.
Candy-
wax fangs.
candy after a couple of weeks it wears out its welcome. But cool trinkets. There's a box of those that
I'm a
I
big
still
fan-
play with.
Big fan of trinkets.
I gotta say, in defense of trunk or treating, my brother is disabled, and so getting him around large neighborhoods was always a nightmare. And also, whenever we would go to a door, he would get confused and want to go inside. So it was always kind of a nightmare because then everybody would be really uncomfortable with you, and you have to explain what's going on. And Jason's like, "Why are we not going inside? I want to go play. I want to meet these people."
Yep.
When we went trunk or treating, it was easy. You have to walk 5 feet. He's not going to climb into someone else's car because he understands that. Real simple stuff. He gets his candy. He plays some games. We have a great time, and we go home without him getting tired out. It was a great experience, and I think trunk or treating is a great thing, especially for kids who don't have a lot of money.
I think that's also completely valid. You know what? I'm going to say that Halloween isn't that bad after all. It's pretty good as the way it is. But I do have one minor complaint, and this time I'm being absolutely serious. I would like Halloween to be less scary, less gross.
I'll agree with the gross.
This is not a moral panic thing. I'm not saying like, think of the children. It's too scary. It's too gross. I'm not saying at all that it's too bad and it's corrupting people. This is in no way a moral panic.
Why are there Satans everywhere?
But one of my favorite things about Halloween is the kitschiness, the trinkets, the aesthetic. I like jack-o'-lanterns, and I like the wax teeth, the goofy decorations, the bright, vibrant costumes.
Yep.
All this stuff is really cool to me, and somehow, and I think we kind of hit on it when we were talking about horror movies and Halloween movies. The drive to be frightened overlapped the drive to celebrate the creepy. So what I'm saying is I want more Nightmare Before Christmas and less Halloween, the 1978 slasher film.
Yeah,
I
I'd
agree.
agree with that.
There is an aesthetic for Halloween that's genuine, fun, great, a little mysterious and creepy. Like you could face your mortality in some way, but it doesn't have to be horror film. And I feel like that's where modern Halloween kind of loses me.
I gotta say, it falls down to like what children think would be scary. The horror movies you saw as a kid that are really, really not so scary now. Those are so much fun, and they're a different kind of horror. And that was fun.
For a while there, for a great many years, the Saw films would come out every single Halloween. And that was a weird kind of Halloween tradition that became very integral to the holiday for a little while there, at least here in America. And I don't know, I'm not saying the film in and of itself changed anything, but it was certainly evidence of a change for that holiday.
Yeah, so Halloween is essentially now a gritty reboot of what it used to be.
Yeah, there's a lot more fear, and not in a way that's fun. And I guess, and it's not. I'm also not saying that I'm frightened by this new scary Halloween. Like the scary movies don't scare me. I'm not worried about the children. It's just not as interesting to me. If you want me to remember a Halloween that I enjoy, there's a big bright orange jack-o'-lantern. There isn't a severed body part that's photorealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just because the world seems scarier. I'd like a spooks and goblins Halloween. You don't see goblins anymore.
Yeah, actually, that's true. You don't anymore.
Yeah.
Gotta get some whimsy.
They're culturally insensitive.
World of Warcraft. I don't know what I'm saying.
He said World of Warcraft.
No.
It's a couple of words.
Didn't make much sense.
Do you know there was never actually a case of razors and apples?
That's not
Yep.
true.
No, there was never a case of it. The
No,
Reported
it
case.
was never a
stranger.
yeah, never a stranger.
Yeah, but it never actually ended up being like. There's never a case of a stranger poisoning or hurting people with like children with razors.
Yeah,
and
well,
There was a
or
case
anything
with
like that.
cyanide, but there was never razors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even
not
then
even
it-
family.
And even then, it was by the
it's
kid's
almost always
father.
family.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Happy
Tragedies.
Trick or treat?
Tragedies. Trick or treat.
Do a
yeah.
flower cake,
Do something that scares you.
like flower cakes.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.